The Antichrist, a name that evokes fear and fascination, a figure shrouded in mystery. For centuries, theologians and scholars have debated the identity of this enigmatic figure. Some believe the Antichrist is a specific individual destined to appear at the end of time. Others see the Antichrist as a symbol of evil, a recurring force throughout history. Many believe a Gentile, possibly Nero, fulfilled the role of Antichrist. Another perspective suggests that Jewish messianic claimants likely fulfilled the role of the Antichrist. These claimants had access to the inner sanctums of the Second Temple. Their conduct in the Second Temple over the duration of the Jewish Civil War aligns with both Old and New Testament prophecies. Yet, according to Russell, the conduct of Nero in distant Rome overshadows the nearby stratagems of the Zealots in the Holy Land. And so, was Nero truly the Antichrist, or is this merely a legend fueled by traditions and speculation? To answer this question, we must delve into the historical record. We must examine the evidence and separate fact from fiction. Our journey takes us back to the 1st century AD, to a time of great upheaval and change. The region under Roman rule was a melting pot of cultures and beliefs. But within this diverse realm, messianic tensions were brewing, tensions that would eventually erupt into violence and chaos. James Stuart Russell, a 19th century theologian, was a staunch proponent of the Nero as Antichrist theory. Russell argued that Nero's reign fulfilled the biblical prophecies about the Antichrist in Daniel 7, in 2 Thessalonians 2, in Revelation 13, and in Revelation 17. He pointed to Nero's persecution of Christians, his cruelty, and his alleged connection to the number 666. Russell believed that Nero's reign was the fulfillment of an early parousia, an end of the Second Temple era, rather than the end of the world. Russell's arguments resonated with many, and still does today. Nero's reputation as a tyrant was well established. The stories of his atrocities were passed down through generations. To many, it seemed plausible that such a monstrous individual could be the embodiment of evil, the Antichrist himself. Russell's interpretation, however, relied heavily on Nero's stature as the holder of the highest office on earth, Roman emperor. To Russell, only the highest ruler could qualify for that role. It also relied on the more sensationalized accounts of Nero's reign. These accounts often focused on Nero's crimes, but disregard the fact that under Nero, the Jerusalem church secured safety at Pella from the Zealots during the entirety of the Jewish debacle. To gain a more balanced perspective, we must turn to Josephus's report. The crucial years of the Jewish war began in AD 66 and saw the Zealots and Sicarii get the upper hand. On November 15th of that year, a bloody conflict between Jews and Romans broke out and ended with Roman troops fleeing into the Beth Horon Pass, where they were defeated. Returning to Jerusalem in triumph, the rebels entered and transformed the Second Temple into a military garrison. From then on, the situation went downhill, and the conduct of the Zealots matched the abomination of desolation foretold in the Scriptures. Without access to Jerusalem, the Romans were unable to guide events to a satisfactory conclusion, and preparations to intensify the war effort brought another 20,000 troops from Idumea to help secure Jewish victory against the moderates. A coalition of Jews and Idumeans terrorized the population and killed tens of thousands in random butchery. But while all this was happening, heaven itself sent obstacles in the way to prevent ultimate Jewish success. Divine judgments that punished Judea and kept their revolutionary ambitions and goals out of reach. They longed for a messianic kingdom, but one that would be governed by a warrior Messiah, a figure who would conquer the Romans. But their efforts were fully underway. Forces beyond their control guided events to a catastrophic conclusion that was foretold by Jesus, the prophets, and the apostles. 22 months into the revolt, Nero committed suicide, and it was left to Vespasian, a skilled general, to direct the war. The war raged for 4 years, marked by infighting, persecution of Christians by zealots, and heavy casualties on all sides. And so this milestone event had a profound impact on the Roman Empire, the Jewish people, and the young church. Beginning in spring of AD 70, the Romans began a new offensive that ended with rout of the Zealots and the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, a defining moment in Jewish history. By AD 70, Nero had long been dead, and Russell's interpretation ignores this and the fact that Nero never set foot in the Holy Land. He also did not enter into the Second Temple. The Zealots did. Flavius Josephus, a Jewish historian who lived during the 1st century AD, provides a valuable account of the Jewish war. Josephus, initially a Jewish rebel commander, was captured by the Romans and became a client of the Flavian emperors. Josephus's writings offer a unique perspective on the conflict. He provides detailed descriptions of the battles, the political machinations, and the human suffering that marked the war. While acknowledging Nero's cruelty, Josephus does not portray him as the central figure in the drama. Josephus's account focuses on the historical, political, and philosophical factors that led to and sustained the war. He places the blame for the Second Temple's occupation and defilement on the fourth philosophy of Judas of Galilee and the Zealots alone. Josephus's writings focus on messianic ambitions as the real reason the Second Temple and Jerusalem fell, and Nero was not a ringleader in these affairs, as Russell's theory erroneously suggests. In the final analysis, a Neronian Antichrist is contrary to the report of the Jewish war documented by Josephus. The Jewish war was a tragedy fueled by fanaticism, misunderstanding, and the lust for power by forces inside Judea and the diaspora. To reduce it to a clash between Nero and the Jewish people is to misconstrue what Josephus reported and documented. The Sicarii and Zealot factions, along with their Idumean compatriots, played significant roles as the unnamed enemies in this drama. To learn more about this, click the links in the description to access 2 important essays: Exonerating Emperor Nero and James Stuart Russell on Nero and the Destruction of Jerusalem, contra the report of the historian Josephus.